Hey, we're back. So this turnip stack didn't despawn, so that's good to know. They won't despawn. Gotta remember we got that delivery from Maddie to make today. Let's see what we got. Ammonite. Don't need that. Amber. Don't need that. And Triceratops torso. Is that what we're missing? Let's double check on that one. I think it might be. 12,870 points? Is that a new record? I think it might be. Probably because I threw in my my boombox there. And then a ranch bookcase, another ranch item. We'll have to pick that up. So that's exciting. Let's go check the museum real quick. We haven't checked this billboard in a couple days. This is from a couple days ago. For those who can't wait for spring to arrive, we're about to find out when it will. Drop by the wishing well at 7 a.m. on February 2nd. Okay, cool. No, I don't want to stop. Throw it out. Okay. I also can't forget that on the 28th, Katrina's gonna be here. So that's exciting. I didn't realize Katrina was in this version. I mean, I knew at one point, then I forgot. But, you know, it's surprising to me how many of the iconic characters are in this game just from the outset. I need to unpack that first. While I'm at it, why don't I double check that that is the one we need? Yes, it is. Perfect. So let's get this donated here. Go ahead and unpack that. Alright, we've got another dinosaur finished, Blathers. Yep. This Triceratops. Who, I say? A Triceratops. Well now, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe this means Triceratops is complete. Hoo-wee. Did I just say hoo-wee? Ugh, how terribly embarrassing. I sound like some blithering idiot. Let's move on, shall we? Here now. Where to begin? Triceratops, yes. A member of the Ornithischian order, this great beast flourished in the late Cretaceous period. It was a huge three-horned plant-eater and grew up to 30 feet in length. That's 9 meters. Truly remarkable. Triceratops is easily recognized by its distinctive trio of horns and, of course, its parrot-like beak. Oh, and one mustn't forget the solid neck frill, which provided it with fortification against giant predators. Triceratops was quite formidable indeed. In fact, it was one of the very last dinosaurs to suffer extinction. I didn't know that. That's cool. Oh dear. Oh good gracious. Please forgive me. I tend to get a bit carried away. Dinosaurs, you know. You have our deepest, most profound gratitude. Might there be anything else you wish to donate? Nope, that's it. Alright. See you later. So, today for the Game Jam, I did a whole lot of sound design, for a whole lot of different things. Editor J, go ahead and, play some of the sounds I made today. Yep, that's, is there more? Is that it? Okay, I think that's it. So yeah, I made a whole bunch of sounds, had a lot of fun with that, still got more sounds to make, and of course, it's the kind of situation where it's like, I find myself questioning whether I want to spend the time to make these and add them, because I have so much feature implementation I need to do. Excuse me. But at the same time, sound is very, very important to, you know, making a game that feels good and that you like want to play, you know? And I've especially heard, ooh, nice chair. That'll match my couch. Ranch armchair. Yeah, I'll take it. Especially in a game jam setting where you've got judges like judging your game and such. They will take a lot of points off your game if there isn't sound. So I just gotta, you know, tell myself that what I'm doing is absolutely necessary. And, you know, people just wouldn't like the game if it didn't have sound. And especially if the sound is kind of my strong suit. I'm not the best programmer, but I've been doing sound stuff for like half my life at this point, probably. So if there's any strength I can play to, it is sound and music. So why not play to that? You know what I mean? Because that'll definitely win us points, not only with like judges and stuff, but also just with random people playing the game. And already with some of the sounds I've made, the game feels really nice. Feels a lot more put together and just more responsive. And it's the kind of thing where like I'm playing it and it feels a lot better, but I know it's like not a real sort of feeling better, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel better because I actually made the gameplay better or made things more responsive. Although people did say the game felt very responsive. That was one thing on the feedback forum with my friends that was very, very consistent among all of them. They felt the game was very responsive and felt good to play, even without all the fancy, like, polish and game feel stuff such as sounds and music and screen shake and stuff like that. They still thought it was a nice feeling game to play, which is very good, a very good sign that we're doing something right, I guess. So that's nice. And so I know there's already a good foundation of like the game feels good. And so even though I know that the extra, you know, good feelingness, the extra game feel that sound effects and screen shake and stuff provide for the game aren't like they have, it's not like they have no foundation or anything. There is a good game under it already that I know, and the sound effects and stuff are literally just there to enhance that good game, which is the ideal situation. It's exactly what you want. So that's very nice. Tomorrow, I'm really hoping I can start working on some of the progression stuff, and like the character select stuff. We decided that when I was talking about the progression stuff in one of the previous episodes, we decided that the on-infest effects and the on-death effects would actually not just be like upgrades that you could get over the course of the run, but instead those would be implemented into some sort of character selection thing, where before you start a run you can choose like a type of parasite or something, and then that type of parasite you choose determines... Did I walk past Maddie already? I already forgot I had to deliver that. That parasite type you choose determines what on-infest effect and on-death effect you have for that run. It's gonna be sunny today for sure. At least that's what they said. And look at this, it totally ended up snowing. I'm never believing that stupid weather forecast again, Yippee. Anyway, what's up, Yippee? Let's deliver this shirt for you. There you go. It's here? It's really truly here? I just know I'm gonna look super in this. Awesome. Check me out. It fits so well, it's like it was made just for me, yippee. Now for your reward. You get furniture, yippee. Cool. Thank you. When you say you're gonna do something, you just go right out and do it. I certainly do. I guess that's a decent looking shirt. What'd she give me? A glow clock. Okay. Well, why don't we go check this out? Yeah, so basically every parasite has a unique on-infest and on-death mechanic. Kind of like how in Nuclear Throne every character has an active ability and a passive ability. So every character would have like basically two unique things about how they play. And okay, where am I putting this stuff? I really liked, because I didn't really think that, I don't really know where I'm going to put that. You know what, I'll replace my red armchair with it. I really, like after thinking about it for a bit, I didn't think that the on-infest and on-death mechanics made sense as, what even is this? Okay, that's that's got radium in it or some shit. Made sense as like just upgrades. So I kinda that was something I struggled with for a bit with like it didn't make sense for them to be something you get like over the course of a run or something like that. It seemed to me like something that would just be inherent from the outset, that you have a set on-infest mechanic and a set on death mechanic, and then you would sort of build around that with your upgrades or something like that. And so then I was like, okay, well, I guess we can just do multiple characters. And I don't even think, like, we were already going to implement those mechanics anyways. Tying it to something that you select at the start of the run instead of something that you select throughout a run is not going to change the amount of time it takes to implement it anyways, so I'm not concerned about it. Let's check out what the Wishing Well is complaining about today. You've got to be fucking kidding me. So I'm not concerned about the amount of time it'll take. I think it'll take the same amount of time anyways, and plus the on-infest and on-death mechanics, I think, are going to be the most fun ways we can really encourage switching bodies as much as possible. The only other ways are, like, just by limiting the player. Hey, Pippi. It's gonna be sunny today, for sure. Someone already said this exact same thing to me. Do you need a favor? Actually, Cherry still hasn't returned my Pokemon Pikachu. Huh? And I totally need it back. Don't you hate it when someone borrows something of yours but never returns it, little hare? It really steams my broccoli. Okay. No, I didn't. No! Oh, I didn't mean to say no. Wait. If I ask you again, will you let me? No, okay. Now you're just giving me a different one. That's fine, whatever. I mean, I wasn't gonna get the Pikachu anyways. That was the only reason I was so excited about that. The only other ways we could really encourage switching bodies, in my opinion, are by limiting things like limiting the ammo, and that's probably still something we're gonna do. And also, like, making it so you can't regenerate or get more health unless you switch bodies as well. That's something that we're doing. And those work well, but we want to have something that encourages that isn't like just limiting for the player. And the on-infest and on-death mechanics are really good for that, and that's why I want them to be inherent effects that you like choose at the start of a run. We don't want you to have to like unlock them. So yeah, anyways, it's kind of strange, but I find it hard to sense the flow of time while I'm indoors, little hare. So what can I do for you, little hare? I'm picking up. If you're looking for the comic book, I'm afraid it's not here, little hare. I had it until just a little while ago, but Cherry came and took it from me. Talk about rude. Obviously, I haven't gotten it back, so you're going to have to talk to Cherry about it, little hare. Alright. Let's go find Cherry. Wherever she is. She always seems to be around somewhere. I feel like I find her somewhere every day. And here's another fossil, so that's nice. Okay. So, yeah, the progression stuff I'm really hoping to get implemented tomorrow. The character artist also finished up the animations for one character. So I'm hoping I can get those implemented as well. That's going to be interesting too, because that's going to require I figure out a mechanic. I don't know which one is Cherry's house. Or not a mechanic, but like a feature, I guess, that I haven't had to implement so far, because the only other character he's finished stuff for is a character that doesn't hold a gun. And so our plan basically for characters... Goosebumps, what's inside? Hi, Goose. For characters or like enemies, I guess, that hold guns and like, you know, shoot bullets in specific directions, is to do something sort of similar to what Nuclear Throne does, where basically the gun is on a separate layer that sort of floats around the character, so that we don't have to worry about like having the character aim their whole body in a specific direction. We can just have the two-directional thing like Nuclear Throne does to keep things simple and like easy to put together in general. And we can still have the gun like pointing at things. This is Blair, that's not Cherry. We can still have the gun pointing at things, so it's not like the bullet shoots out of the gun at a weird angle. So basically, the character artist rendered out the gun and the front arm on a separate layer, and then the back arm on its own layer as well, so that we can center the shoulder of the front arm on like the shoulder of the character sprite, and then have it rotate around the shoulder as like an axis. And then put the other arm behind the character, and hopefully it'll all look good. I haven't tried it yet. It's a little bit different from what Nuclear Throne does. Nuclear Throne has a much more simplified art style, so it can kind of get away with a lot more than what we're doing. So hopefully this is a good level of like not total abstraction, but still simplifying it for the sake of making things easier on the artist. I think it'll work fine though. And this is not Cherry. Where in the world is Cherry? Well, I guess since I'm over here, I'll go ahead and get flowers and trees and plant them here in Nook's Acre, because the wishing well is still not happy about this. Yeah, so things are coming together. I'm thinking about probably cutting down on the total number of levels that we want to put in the game, or at least want to plan to put in the game, and then also reworking some of the enemy designs that we haven't started work on yet, to make them a little bit more a little simpler, so that, for one, they're easier to implement, don't take quite as much time, but also for another thing, then they're easier enemies to deal with, and so we can front load more enemies into like the first few levels or whatever, and introduce more variety right from the get-go. Because right now, like with the current plan we have going for like what the final state of the game would be, there would be, excuse me, oh my goodness, burping a lot. There would be a single enemy type in the first level, and then in the second level would introduce another one, and then we would kind of just introduce like one per level, or like occasionally skipping a level as the levels went on. But the further in we get, the more I realize that a lot of these more complicated enemy designs are gonna take a lot longer to design and balance and like fully get feeling good than I think we initially thought. And also that the first level could really do with a lot more variety. For example, in Nuclear Throne, the first level has 3 enemy types right out of the gate. Technically 4 if you count it. I think I have forgotten about this rock for several days now. That's probably been the rock that I just couldn't find a few times now. Technically, Nuclear Throne has 4 enemy types in the first level right out of the gate. I wanted to sell this clock too. I'll have to remember to do that. Because there's one enemy it's like a giant maggot sort of thing, and when you kill it, it explodes into a bunch of other smaller maggots. So if you want to count those as 2 different enemy types, I guess do your thing. But personally, I just count it as 1. But still, like, that provides a lot more variety. There's one really basic enemy that just shoots a single bullet, like every once in a while, sort of in your vague general direction. There's one enemy that doesn't shoot very often, but when it does, it shoots a whole ton of bullets in your direction. And then there's the little slug thing that's just like a little melee enemy that walks up and does contact damage to you. I'm kind of losing hope on finding Cherry today. I don't think that's... I think that might not end up happening. And then in our game, we've got 1 enemy type at the start, and it's an enemy that shoots a 3-round burst. And that's kind of another problem I have too, is using... You want out again, Goose? You want to go out? Want to go out? There you go. There you go. Just populating an entire level with an enemy type that uses a 3-round burst, I think has some problems. Especially when it's the first level. Because you want that 3-round burst to kind of do something when you're like just up against a few of those enemies at a time. But when you're up against a huge amount of them, you want to make sure they don't fire so often that it's just completely oppressive for the player and they can't do anything. And there are probably more things I can do to, like with level generation, for example, messing with the generation parameters a bit more, so that the first level doesn't create a bunch of like split off little rooms. I'll sell this dresser too, where there are only like a few enemies in it, and like all the enemies throughout the level are kind of separated and stuff, and instead have level generation that's more focused around like one or maybe two larger rooms, sort of like what I had at the start, but changed because I thought it was boring. What was I saying? Yeah, and so, you know, for that reason, you're more consistent. You're like going up against a more consistent amount of enemies in a way. Because I think that's probably what Nuclear Throne does. It's like more about, when did I get this gyrate? Oh, this was the thing I picked up to put the bookshelf in place of. There's nowhere else I could put this, right? We're kind of all full here. Let's put it downstairs. I think that's kind of what Nuclear Throne does. I'm realizing, just while talking about this right now, I'm not totally sure that it's a problem with the enemy design so much that it's like just a problem with the level generation. And that's part of why I've been talking about the Game Jam 2 so much while doing these videos, is because it helps me think through it in a way that I wasn't really thinking through it before. But yeah, because in Nuclear Throne, especially in the earlier levels, they really don't have like small rooms for the most part. It seems like the level generation is more focused around creating one sort of larger room that a lot of the enemies tend to get spawned within. And so then you can have those really simple enemies that don't shoot that many projectiles, but still have like a level of danger there. Because if you just go up against like one or two of those enemies by themselves, like maybe by the time you kill both of them, one of them can get a single shot off, and their accuracy is so low that it probably won't even be directly at you. But when you go up against a lot of them all at once, like, you know, if they're all grouped up in one big room, then suddenly there are a lot more projectiles coming at you from all different directions, but it's not like because like they're tuned so low, it's not so many projectiles that it's like really oppressive. And I'm starting to realize this more and more now as I'm talking about this, that Nuclear Throne's levels and the way the level generation parameters are set up and what enemy types are chosen to be placed in those levels is actually really clever in a way I hadn't ever thought about before. Because level 1 has a lot of enemies that are more focused around like their danger comes from them being in a group, or level 1 through 3, I should say. And so for that reason, they set up the level generation so that it doesn't split up the enemies all that much. Then you move on to the sewers. It still has some of those like basic enemies that just fire a single shot every once in a while, just sort of as like trash enemies. But the sewer has a lot more like narrow corridors and not like very, very few large rooms. for the most part. Of course, it's procedural generation, so you never know exactly what you're going to get, but just by messing with the parameters, you can make it more prone to generating specific things. And so in the sewers, there isn't as large of a focus on enemies that shoot projectiles. Instead, there's more of a focus on like close range enemies. You got all those rats that run around really quickly and just do contact damage. You've got those frog dudes that have shotguns. Those are more of a close range thing because obviously shotguns have the low accuracy thing. And then having that shotguns have like the low accuracy thing, and their projectiles like decay faster than the basic enemy projectiles and stuff. And so for the most part, the sewers are really more focused around close range combat. Then the scrapyard after that is almost like an in-between on the two. It has some larger rooms throughout, but not rooms that are as large as like the single big rooms in the first few levels. There are just like kind of medium-sized rooms sort of scattered throughout the map in a way. And it plays around that by then introducing enemies that do like a 3-round burst, like the basic enemies we have in our game. And so those enemies work well in that kind of level generation, because having all of them in one big room creates a really oppressive situation with how many bullets are on screen. Like the problem I said I was kind of having with our game, when all the enemies just spawn in a single room, and suddenly, because we've balanced them specifically around them being kind of split up, it's just like the screen is filled with bullets completely. And so instead, they've designed the levels to kind of split up these enemies, and so they can be like dangerous more individually, and then so that they can design them to be dangerous more individually, because they're not going to be in large groups. And then, and this is something I didn't consider either, it's even more clever with those enemies, because those enemies are like the vultures that can fly up above the level and like fly over walls and drop back down again. And so when you've got a level that has a lot of like long hallways and split up rooms and stuff, it becomes a pain in the ass trying to navigate through those rooms to get to the rest of the enemies, because obviously the goal in Nuclear Throne is kill all the enemies so that you can move on to the next level. And so in that way, the enemies can move towards the player without needing to navigate around all the walls and stuff themselves. And I don't know how complicated aggro works in Nuclear Throne, but I don't know if they have to have like line of sight in order to aggro on you. So, but if they do, that would throw even more of a wrench in like just trying to find all the goddamn enemies, you know, because they would just be sitting behind all these walls and you have to go all these weird paths and stuff, but the enemies can just go to you. So Nuclear Throne, I'm just realizing now, I already knew it was a very cleverly designed game, but there are levels here that I wasn't even considering before. And I think what I'm kind of taking out of this is I can do my best to like emulate you know, kind of what the levels in Nuclear Throne are doing, but in my own way. But I am, like I said in, I think the last episode, or was it the one before? I am definitely like a very amateur game designer. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have very little experience, and the people who were working on Nuclear Throne had a lot of experience. They went to school for game design, and I'm just sitting here pressing buttons in my room. So whatever I achieve, if it's even like a fraction as fun as Nuclear Throne, then I think that's a win in and of itself, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing the best I can, and they had way more experience than I did when they made Nuclear Throne. Vlambeer, that is the studio that made Nuclear Throne. So yeah, I guess that's it. So I guess I will see you tomorrow.